I'm here, and today I want to talk about music in video games. So those of you probably know that music is such a big part of video game. Video game is probably by a lot of people consideration is honestly the most advanced form of art. If you think about it, movie have a lot of element, right? Movie have moving picture, they have sound, they have audio, they have a lot of stuff, right? They can include music, they can include moving images, they can include just the image itself. So movie have a lot of element when it comes to a lot of medium in combination together, right? But if you think about video game have everything that movie have, and that includes songs, music, image, moving picture, everything, right? And that's something video game have, just like movie. But we also got something else. We got interaction, and interaction is something really cool that you can only find in video game. You could argue that there is some interaction in other mediums that you can use, like in some movie they let you choose the ending of the movie, and there are other type of medium that also incorporate some level of interaction into it as well, like learning, and like e-learning is a great example. Like when people learn online nowadays, there's certain interaction and they gamify a lot of stuff. But a lot of those core design came from video games. So video game is in many ways the most advanced form of art, if you accept the fact that video games art, which I know a lot of people still can't accept the fact that how dare you call video game art. Personally I think it is. Personally I feel that video game deserve to be called an art. So with that being said, video game incorporate a lot of element from a lot of stuff, and we have good cutscene, high production cutscene, video look amazing, gameplay aspect has always been good. Gameplay has always been the core of video game. Lately, AAA game now, they might have less gameplay in order to streamline it so that more people can play it, and they improve the production value instead. However, we still have indie who are going out there and trying to do fun and weird and quirky thing that doesn't exist before and give us new gameplay experience. So in many ways, there is a lot of stuff that we have in video game that is being done honestly perfectly by different group of people, different publisher and different developer. There's ton of people making game, and that's incredible. But what I want to talk about today is music in video game. Music in video game is a little interesting because there is a lot of way you can incorporate that music into video game. So I want to start off by saying I'm not an expert in music. I don't know how to do any music. I can't sing, I can't write music, I can't even read music. I wouldn't ever say that I'm good at music, or I understand the core of why people use different type of music as a form of art, and the incorporation and how to make it feel good within video game, whether that fit within certain video game or not. I don't know those, right? I don't pretend to do, and I don't. But I do enjoy music. So I want to talk about the way in which you create music to put into a video game. That is something I want to talk about because I have seen a lot of example, and I feel that there is like 3 or 4 ways that you can look at it. The first way is, most of you probably familiar with it in most AAA games. This is what they usually do. They make the game, then they talk to maybe some people who are in the industry, right? And ask them to make certain music that would fit within the thematic of the game, within the feel of the game. So what this does is that the production of the game go alongside with the music. So the dev is working on the game, and the music part, the music team and stuff like that, right? They're working alongside them. So what that does is that the developers set kind of like the thematic of the feel of the game, what they kind of want out of the game. Maybe they use some example that already exists in the other media and stuff like that, right? So they set certain expectation, and publisher can do that as well, and they would usually hire like a musician or a group of people who think that the music would suit the game and stuff like that. And we see that in games like Crysis 2 is a great example. They use Hans Zimmer, who did a lot of music you probably know about it, like Inception, like the Dark Knight trilogy and stuff like that. Hans Zimmer is super popular, super famous for doing this blockbuster movie, crazy epic music, right? People genre that as an epic music, and he is kind of like the first person to use like kind of like digital music and use all sorts of music to come together to create kind of like a awesome feeling music, even though it's not authentic because, well, you don't actually play the instrument itself. It's actually super difficult to do any type of Hans Zimmer music live without using computerized music in some way. But a lot of people do that. A lot of developers would hire someone like Hans Zimmer, for example, who is incredible. I'm not gonna say he's not good or stuff like that, because he is. And there's also tons of other options as well, and other artists who are amazing at this kind of stuff. But the problem came because when you hire music, you kind of want certain music, right? If that makes sense. You kind of have you kind of create your own expectation going into it and set the thematic of the game, and that can be some if you set the right thematic, you have the right artist, and you can communicate and refine it in such a way that you want the product that come out in terms of music is empower the experience of the game, then that's awesome. But usually that's not always the case, and there are cases where music doesn't seem to go too well with the game, and you have certain soundtrack that feel awesome and some of which doesn't fit too well with the game. Now, what I want to talk about is some other example that I have seen in the industry that I thought was really cool. Now, I don't pretend to know how the production of music work within most of the game, but these are the ones that I have done some research on, some study on, and have looked into, right? One of the ones that I was really impressed by, which is my second type of example, is Ori and the Blind Forest. Ori and the Blind Forest is developed by a team that is incorporated by people all over the world, right? They don't have like a I don't know if they have a studio, but they don't have like a place where they all come together. They all work online in different hour, and they all work to create this game together. And everyone work on their hour, you know. Some people live in Asia, some people live all the way in US. So the hour is so different, so wide. And they all have their own objective, the thing that they were supposed to do, and they work together. I don't know how they did it. They managed to make it work. What is really cool that they hire a music artist as well. So this is really cool in terms of music. And what they do is they let the artist play through the game, which is something I have never heard of. And what that does is that create an expectation that the artists have to the game, right? They let him play through a certain part of the game, and they ask him to make a music for that part of the game. And I think that's such a cool way to make music for a game. And this is my second type. This is something that I feel like more video game developer should start thinking about, especially when you want to create certain emotion, certain feeling in video games. It's hard to put in music that the artist didn't know what was going into it. But if the artist has played the game, he understands the video game medium really well. Like the artist who I can't remember the name, but he did that for Ori of the Blind Forest.
Me personally, I don't think about it whether it's an award contender. It's like what you realize, and at least with Ori, I realized quite early on that you're working on something that has the potential to be special. Now the awards thing, like the public and the reviewers will take care of that. Like that usually sorts itself out at the end of the year. What you want, I think, when you're working on something is just to have the chance to work on something special, like something that people might remember if they play it. And I felt that quite early on with Ori. I mean, I did the prototype for Ori, so I've been involved with it for a long time. So, and I felt that from the prototype, which is why I ended up doing the game. But it's kind of as the game evolved, the music evolved with it as well. It's one of the advantages of getting in so early. Like both the art informs the music and the music kind of informs the art.
That is awesome. That is really cool, and that would help the game overall. And like when people talk about Ori and the Blind Forest, a lot of people said the soundtrack is amazing, right? It won a lot of awards. I feel like I'm not too sure, but it easily get tons of nomination for its original soundtrack, which is incredible. Like the game is awesome. Ori and the Blind Forest is an awesome game, but like the way in which they tackle the music and design of the music is really interesting to me. But I don't know if that's the case with other developers or not. I haven't done too much research into it, but I thought that was really interesting that that's how they did it. There's also the third example as well, and this is a kind of like a unique example, and this is the only example that I can seem to find as far as I know. If you know any of them, like I said, I don't pretend to know everything about this stuff, so if you know some examples, let me know as well. The third example I want to talk about is an example of using the music to create the game itself. And this one is a little weird. This one you can only see in Undertale, which is a really cool example of the game, because Undertale music is probably widely accepted as like the best music in video games by a lot of people. Some would say other would be better, and I would argue different as well. But I have to be honest, I love Undertale music, and what it does to that game, it's incredible, right? It adds so much to that game. And what Toby Fox did with Undertale is kind of incredible. He actually composed most of those music before the game actually been made, and he created the level in such a way that the music let him do it, which is really weird, because you would think, okay, you create the level And then you think about the music later, whether you hire someone to just do it, or you hire someone to play to it, to try to understand it, to incorporate it really well, like Ori and the Blind Forest. But in this case, what he does is he have the music which he created out of his love on Earthbound and those type of game and experience, right? And he have that type of music. He did a lot of mod for Earthbound and create those type of games that also incorporate this type of music. But when it comes to the game itself, he used the music to create the game. And that's awesome, because what's going through your head when you have the music is that you get the tone of the game. And so you can not only, you don't set the tone to set the tone of the music to match the game, but it's actually the opposite, the other way around. You set the tone of the game to match the music itself. And that's why I feel like music empowered that game so much, you know. That's why music is such a big part of Undertale. It's not because, oh wow, the music is good and it helped the game. The game is being created out of the passion that he has from the music itself, which is really cool. Like Toby Fox, I would say he's a great indie developer, right? But to me, I think he is a much better music composer, right? He is, at his heart, at his soul, right? I feel like he is a music composer, and he wants to express his music through video game. And I feel like Undertale in many ways is an example of that. It's an example of an artist, you know, he wants to use his music in a way that it can be expressed through video game. And I feel like that's really awesome. And we don't see a lot of case of that. And that's why I feel like music in Undertale is really cool, and like a lot of people love it, right? And it's definitely something to think about. And I feel like there is probably other type of example as well, that if you guys know, please do let me know, right? Like I'm so interested in how music is being incorporated in video game. And like Ori and the Blind Forest and Undertale are two incredible examples of that, two incredible examples of using artists in such an interesting way to incorporate music into the game. And that's really awesome. And like there's other type of game as well, like Last of Us, you know, they go all of their way to find artists who are not well known at all, right, to create like an authentic music that is fit so well within Last of Us, right? There's a tons of other examples, but like it's so hard to find this type of information. You know, you have to research game by game. So if you guys know, please let me know, right? Like, because this stuff is like, if you don't have the interest into the game, you won't know it, right? You have to look into the game, and you look at that game, you find out the artist's name, then you maybe Google it, and then they maybe have like a behind the scene and stuff that you can find out about it. And so these are information are not being well, you know, like feature in any type of news outlet. You don't find it on Reddit, you know. You actually have to go out of your way a lot to do this type of research and try to find. And these three examples are examples that I came across, right? I played through Crysis 2. I love that game. I like the music in that game. Well, I didn't love Crysis 2. I like Crysis 2. I wouldn't say I love it, because that game have a lot of problems as well. But I actually like Hans Zimmer music a lot. At the time, you know, like 2011, I think, Crysis 2 when it come out. You know, I was a big fan of Dark Knight. I was a big fan of Inception, stuff like that, right? You know, like those were my jam back then. And seeing Hans Zimmer music, you know, and it made me think about, oh, okay, Hans Zimmer used music. They probably hire him to do it. He probably know a lot about the tone of the game and stuff like that. But I doubt Hans Zimmer actually played through Crysis 2 before he composed the music. And when I heard that the artists who make music for Ori and the Blind Forest actually go through those process before he composed the music, that really intrigued me. And when I heard that Toby Fox used the music to create the video game he made itself, that just blew my mind, right? Like, because it's so wide. You know, you usually think of video game, you think of game first, right? And music come later. For him, it's music first, and video game is just a form of expression that help him express his music. And that's pretty awesome. I can't say anything else but awesome for what Toby Fox managed to do with his game Undertale. So yeah, that's really interesting. If there's other example, let me know. And thank you for watching. See you guys. Peace.